everyone, and welcome to Healing Spaces with Gently Healing. I am Jen Tilley, and I am super excited to be here with you guys. I hope that you are all doing very, very well. It has actually been a very active day so far. Just having a lot of people and having activities to do. I am grateful that I made it in time for the show. I got to go on 2 different hikes today and really explore myself. We found this really, really cool tunnel that we were able to like go inside of, and the harmonics inside of there were incredible. Hi, Willow. Welcome. Nice to see you. Yeah, I was just talking about how we just got back from a hike. We kind of did a 2 hike today. It was Aaron and Joe and I. We walked up and we went and played in this like concrete tube. They're doing some kind of construction, and then we're like, we got to go back and get Zach, and we were like 35 minutes away, but we walked back, got Zach, and we went up there, and we actually brought like the singing bowls and the flutes, and well, I feel very harmonically balanced now. I highly recommend it if you guys ever come and visit, to go inside one of these tubes. It's just like, it's a water runoff tube, but it was like psychedelic experience for sure, and so much fun. Yeah. So how have you been today, Willow? How is your experience of the last couple days gone? I'm interested to hear, or even like with the meditations we've been doing, if you've been like feeling any different. I care about you and I think about you a lot, and yeah. So today I just like thought about like the importance of just like waking up, and what that journey looks like, and just balancing yourself and making sure that you don't just like wake up and run and start your day without just centering yourself. Some of the things that I've found that are very important are really kind of waking up, getting a smile on your face, embracing your day, thinking about something that makes you happy, because the more you put out like that, the more is what you will attract. And if you do the inverse, then that's what you will attract. I think that it's very important to get yourself stretched out and get that energy moving. Our dream space, we never know necessarily where we've been, what traumas we might have experienced, and just getting that energy out. And a lot of times people talk about doing like specific yoga poses, and I'm more on the side of just listening to your body, starting to center and getting even the mildest of movements, and seeing where it needs to be done, whether it's your arms. I definitely always feel like standing up and bending over and touching your toes, or holding your elbows and rocking back and forth while bending over, and just kind of getting the spine moving. I mean, there's some specific kind of poses that I think are beneficial, but just really ultimately listening to yourself. Hi, Robert. Welcome. Nice to see you. I'm happy you're here, and yeah. Oh gosh. So it's just that, journey of meeting yourself instantly, when you are starting the day. And really it's, if all the world is a dream and all of this is that, and you're coming out of these new spaces, they say, it's almost like you only live one day, as long as you're not staying up for several days in a row. But really, this is your one day, and you are a whole new person, and it's a whole new life, and it's what are you creating for yourself? And I can definitely see on days that, let's say I'll wake up and I'll be rushed. The rest of my day, I'm like a pinball, boop, boop, boop. It's harder to center myself. And I wonder how many else out there are like that. Hi, Sammy. Oh, it's so nice to see all you guys in here. I love you guys so much. Yeah, it's just the journey of balance, really, and creation. And I tell people, like, if you wake up and let's say you're going through some semblance of depression, which I have definitely experienced the deepest levels of depression that in my reality I could ever possibly imagine. Willow, I've been feeling great the past few days. I've been working a lot on my throat chakra, and the meditations have definitely been helping. Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, the throat chakra is, a big one where, it's learning to communicate. I was telling Aaron today because Joe and I have kind of the same car, but his is white and mine is blue. And when I had the opportunity to pick out the color, I had specifically chosen blue because I was very much looking to find my voice and, how to speak my truth, how to just share these things, like do stuff like this. So I guess the blue car is, and the color and the energy that is gathered has also helped me lead to being able to speak with you guys. Oh man, I love how you guys love each other so much. This is so rad. Hi, Jasmine. It's so nice to see you. I'm so glad that you're here. Yay. It's like the whole family's coming together. It's just so rad that you guys just choose to take this time out of your day to just like hang out with me. And I definitely feel that, and it motivates me to, no matter what's going on in my life, to keep setting time aside and keep choosing to do this. And I just think it's really cool to just share your authentic self on a daily basis, because we're all entangled and so many of our stories are so similar. And whatever tools that I can share with you so you can keep sharpening them and you can show up and make that one slice in the moment to learn how to transcend and become the best version of yourself it's important. It's what journey that we're on if we want to live the best and most happy life. And I think that was the other thing that was discussed, is how do you do this and also not get so serious and still be able to play and have fun? And I think that, working on that inner child, the both balancing of that boy and girl that's inside of you, and having experiences with others, I think there's a difference. Like, I think there's a time that you need to take to be with just you so that you gain that relationship with yourself. But I also find such value in having good, solid people in my life. I mean, in inverse, like, it's better to be alone without a doubt than to have the negative energy in that space. But if you clear that out and you get all the negative energy out, mostly, I think you'll end up finding that a lot of them were your mirrors and some of those issues were your own. And so finding the way to love yourself exactly where you are and be able to enact different behaviors as the highest version of yourself. The world operates on cycles. It will keep coming back. Hi, Jacob. Welcome. Yay. Nice to see you. But yeah, I mean, it will come back. And this is why, if you make the decision to choose the negative, let's say you wake up and just decided to run and not center with yourself and not choose yourself, this is what you'll attract. Oh, it's so rad that you guys are all here. But I see that in the operation. I see, like, for example, and why I choose the topics I do is to also share, like, where I'm at and what I've done to, like, get through the day. But, like, this morning, I wake up and it's time to feed the dogs, and there's a lot more people here, so the house has more clutter. And different decisions I could make is cleaning the clutter if I am bothered by it in the morning, so my day is not stressed. So cleaning it before I go to bed rather than when I first wake up in the morning. I know that when I wake up for my day, I would prefer to just have free-flowing energy, and when you have clutter around, it gets trapped. So I thought about that, where it was like, I'm going to go do this now, and I'm going to go do this now. And it's that balance, like how I talked about yesterday, is oftentimes I'm learning to not be the caretaker, but take care of myself. And so things that I found is, before going to bed, making sure that your house is in order so that when you wake up to this brand new day, the new person that you are, that you're meeting yourself in that best version. I also talk about, before you go to bed, writing out your perfect day. And that's not something that I missed before I went to bed, where it was even imagining myself at that perfect day and all the things that, even yesterday, it was such a beautiful day yesterday. So carrying those things on into my day. But the cycles come. I know that there's an aspect of myself that wants to be hurried, but I make mistakes when I'm hurried. I lose my presence when I'm hurried. I'm thinking 10 steps in the future when I'm hurried. I'm trying to control my reality when I'm hurried. There's all of these aspects that are not operating as the highest version of me. And yet I am the highest version of me. So the importance, like, even let's say you find yourself at a point in your life where you're depressed. If you choose, like, let's say you just can't smile and laugh and you can't see that, even coughing, like if you just cough, this hits the same center in your solar plexus and emits the same chemicals into your body. So even like for my very depressed clients, we start with just the coughing and then we work into the smiling and laughing or whatever you need to do, well, especially in the morning, to embrace what you want to attract. And when you're sleeping too, if you're not setting your protections, as we've talked about in other episodes, you're solely unprotected when you are sleeping, and when you wake, there are aspects of energies that can jump into your bandwidth straight down into your crown. It's what you're breathing in. So you could be breathing in your neighbor's frustration. I have had experience in my life where there was an angry moment and that something was kicked and with that energy, and then straight across the way there was the couple across the way ends up fighting and having a horrible fight. Like, energy is contagious, and if you're not containing your energy, it's going somewhere. So again, at nighttime, creating your perfect day, setting your protections, and then having the dream space, first waking up, put that smile on your face, whether you feel it or not. You're still working those muscles. You're still setting the intention, or coughing, as I was saying, can help too. But if you're not in the depression, really challenge yourself to smile and laugh, stretch that negative or whatever stuck dense energy that is within your vessel. And I like to say, keep it novel, keep the exploration so that you can see where you're at. Maybe you were sleeping in a weird position and now your neck is hurting, or these other aspects, and being able to meet yourself where you are in the moment and clearing that space. Yes. So, it's important. It's important, and it's keeping your own discipline no matter what is happening in your life. The rad thing is, if you really take the time when you create your space, that the people that are in your life will be very accepting of that. They'll be like, oh yeah, this is what Jen does, and she does blah blah blah, blah, and this is her time in the morning, and they love you right where you are. I'm grateful for the help and assistance that I have in my life, and the friends that help me with their own navigations, and you guys that are here. This all is helps me show up as the better version. It helps me choose a different path. And, but it's not you, it's me. Like, I want that. I want to be that, So once you get up, I think taking a shower in the morning, and cold showers are really good. I don't do fully, and I can do fully cold showers. I don't choose to do fully cold showers, except for moments. I will end up getting it where, my body's acclimated, not fully shocked, until I end up turning the cold water on and I hit it right into my vagus nerve. And this is also a very calming aspect to calm that central nervous system that can be just fired up. But doing things for yourself before you do for others, because you can't fully do for others unless you're doing for you, including your little critters. Like with my dogs, they can wait to eat for a few minutes. They love me, and the best way I can show up for them is to be the best version. They absorb our energies, as Kala has talked about, and I have shared on this show as well, is that, there are mirrors. So being the best version, that's what you want to mirror. So I have Willa. I've been breaking a lot of thought loops lately and thinking about my future with a much better perspective. That's awesome. Yeah, that is awesome. You've been doing so much work. Even Erin and I were discussing like how amazed we are on how all of you guys show up on this daily basis. Is really, really great work, guys. Like it's also like that want to be that better version of yourself, and the answers are in these spaces, because that's my journey. Liberation of myself from these habits and these DNA, like parts of my DNA that were like from my family, whatever those traumas are, is to clear that space. And that's what opportunity that we get here, and it does not go unnoticed. Not that I would recommend that you, like, it's compliments are very interesting, because you can't really experience a compliment unless you're doing it for yourself. But mostly, like with compliments, I try and give it right back to people, because it's my job to be able to compliment myself and to build that strength within myself, so that I don't need that. Everyone else needs their that energy, coherence. Like it's fine to get a compliment, and it's great to give compliments, and I'm not saying that. I'm saying sometimes we go on self-esteem fundraisers that are trying to do the job that is ours. So watch the compliments that are there, and then also watch the people that are giving you the compliments. Oftentimes they need it more. They need it more, and it's like right back at you. I'm just going to give that right back to you, because like I see you, and I see that highest version of yourself, because I see this higher version of myself now, and that importance. Does that make sense? I'm trying to explain it the best way I can. Kevin is here. Hi, Kevin. So nice to see you again. Welcome. I love it. With you here, I was just sharing at the very beginning of the show. I don't know if you were in here yet, or if you're just now saying hello, but we went on a hike today, and there's this really, like, it's a rad tunnel, but they're like tearing up the grounds, and they're it's like a concrete tube, and it will have like the water drain off. Not that it rains a lot here, so it's very dry in there. But the vibrations and frequencies, we were like doing harmonics in there. We brought the singing bowls and like 2 different flutes. And we just like played within that space. Aaron just like laid there. I don't think he's ever received a sound bath before, or if any of you have received sound baths before. But it is quite a phenomenal experience to just have that sound around. So anyway, I think of you, and yeah, that's rad that you're here. I love it. Hello, Kevin. Yes. And then showers are great, not only to clean your body, but to clean your auric field. And cleaning that field has profound benefits, which can great change the course of your day. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. It's an interesting journey, because I've looked at it from all angles. Like living outside, like in the middle of the, like all over, out in the middle of the desert, away from water sources. That there was times where I would go significant amount of times without showering. I wanted to understand, because it was like kind of that indoctrinated. You wake up and you shower every day. If not, you're smelly and stinky and blah, blah, blah. I don't think you're smelly and stinky if you don't shower. It's really the cortisol that comes through your body that really ends up causing more of the smell. But I would find on inverse, on 2 angles, living in nature and having the dirt on my skin. I would say that my senses were very, very heightened, in a way that I can sense when I once I took a shower, the difference of that. There's the brushing of the skin, getting things moving you can do as well. But I question everything it was that I believed. And I definitely had moments of feeling like I was going mad without having the luxury of a shower. I realized that showers are more of a luxury than a lot of us see. Like most of us all have showers in our homes. But I would definitely say that exactly what you said. It definitely helps clear the auric field. I love bathing in rivers and lakes. So really, like, if I had had more access to water that way, the senses were still massively heightened in that experience. So yeah, it's just a kind of like this interesting balance of seeing like the inverse of what it was like to go without, and then used to be like a person that showered every day. I shower every day now. I really enjoy that experience, and I feel that it's very grounding, and I think water is very helpful. But on both angles, like, it's not necessary for just like the auric field. I think you can do a lot when you're in nature with your auric field, like wind baths, for example. I did many wind baths that have very similar effects to what it would have been to shower. Maya, you're here. Hi, hugs to you. Yay. Yes. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. My people of sound have come too. I love it. I love it. Yay. Oh my gosh. Yes. Excellent. Sound amazing. I need that recently. Been trudging through the mud, but rising out of it. Sleeping so much lately. Well, Kevin, I'm glad that you're here. You know, it is a journey. Like when things are coming our way. Sleeping so much lately. You emphasize that, so it doesn't feel like that's a positive aspect of. It really is a balance when it comes to sleeping. What can I say to this? I have people that just came in, so I'm trying not to also be distracted by the food and all of the like my whole energy of the space just changed slightly. I think sleeping and centering with yourself, as long as it's not an escape. If you are escaping from this reality, that there's most likely something that needs to be looked at. We're all here to help, and I love you very much, and I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm sorry that you've been going through a tough time. But again, it's listening to yourself. Sometimes maybe you need to sleep for 12 hours, and that's what your body is saying. You know the best answer for yourself. Sound is amazing, like using sound and even like washing yourself off and washing away the dirt. I love, washing myself in the rain, or, being out there. But in California or in the deserty areas I've been, that's not so easy to find that. But yeah, there's a lot with the new moon cycles. So many things are in retrograde, so many planets, that we're going to have some challenging things. Our conversations are going to be challenged. People around us that are not being aware of the different energies. So it is finding that balance, and whether it is through sleep or a bunch of these other things we're talking about are very good. I wish I lived near fresh water, like a creek or small river, and my backyard would be awesome. Yeah, I get that feeling. You're in Texas, and yeah, I get that. Again, you can do stuff, even with your own shower and the water that is there, and create that environment. Maybe go get some eucalyptus leaves, place that in your shower, and some or even some plants within your shower space, so that it becomes more of a more tropical, like more like nature. If you're craving that, sometimes you got to just go create it. Yeah. So thank you for sharing all this, guys. I love it. You see, we're all like on such similar paths. It can be short, but I feel like time's wasted. Yeah, just the energy is just blah. Yeah, I hear that. Again, these are the things where I say it's a choice. Our perspective of our realities is also a choice, and choosing to do it different. Every day that we wake up, as I said, is a brand new day. You are the newest version of yourself. All the things that happened the day before do not have to happen in this reality today. Again, though, the world does operate on cycles, so these aspects will come back, but you will grow that cycle, or you'll make a decision to do a new one. And that's what I'm working on, and I found vast changes when I just changed my perspective of it. Sitting in the sound, doing some semblance of meditations and stretching, and not buying into again, these energies that are being brought into our vessel, it has nothing to do with outside people. If you're running into several assholes throughout the day, you're the asshole. If you're, there are mirrors showing us our answers. If they are not good for your reality, it's just time to let them go and choose you, because you're awesome. Kevin, you're freaking awesome, and I love you, and I care about you. Your music just resonates with me. And every one of you, like, I could just keep going down the list. But I feel especially where I just want to send you all that you need. Like, when you're laying there, go ahead and tap into my energy. Anytime, just think about me. It's straight through my heart chakra. I'm telling you how to get to my bandwidth. It's green, and it's on a crystalline green energy flow straight into my heart. I have an abundance of energy you can utilize at any moment. Choosing the right energies to bring in. But you are not alone. You're not alone. I love you, and I'm glad that you're here. It's just me, no worries, LOL, you good love. Yeah, I'm not worried. But yeah, it is just us, and that's it. But that doesn't mean that I can't love you and give you the greatest hug, because I've been there and I get it. And that's why I started talking about what I did, because I made a choice to not center with myself when I got up, and not doing that really has major ripple effects. Granted, I'm grateful that I was able to divert that and make other choices, like go outside in nature and have people in my life that I can reach out to that are there to help support me as well, and learn too. And then going and finding cool things like playing music inside the tubes, and seeing the cool little animals. We saw like a small donkey today, like a wild donkey, and like quail, and just all the messages are just all around us. The spider crawling on me, because weaving my dreams for me. It's really rad. Jacob, sound baths sound wonderful. I take fire baths regularly. What is a fire bath? Is this in the smoke of the fire? What is a fire bath? That is very interesting. I'd love to know more about that. I really love to know more about that, because I do the wind and the water and dirt. It's almost like the dirt on my skin was my own way. And like I said, you can do the brushing. That is that is something that I can see the different elements, but that is a really fascinating one. The first sound bath I ever had was in the jungle. There was this man that was there named Vincent, and he had brought in like all these like crystal bowls, and he had like these feathers, like a wing feathers, and like chimes, and like the way he could harmonic, like the lowest oh gosh, his harmonics were amazing. And I can't even remember the abundance of sounds that he had. I'm sure he had the flute and all this stuff, and I had never experienced that before. But again, like probably a couple days after the sound bath, that flute was put into my hand, and so now I do different sound baths. Like the bowls that I use, they actually go on the body, so you can actually do that as opposed to like the crystal bowls. So it's just these guys. So I really like them, whether I put them on the body or whether I just play them like a regular singing bowl. But yeah, I'd love to hear more about the fire bath, Jacob. That would be really rad. Hello, Kala. I'm so glad you're in here. I love you very much. I love you. Yeah, you're getting so many loves. And there we go. Sounds hot, bruh. Yeah. That's I think, Kevin, are you referring to the fire baths? Because it really does. Actually, that made me think. I saw this video of this indigenous culture somewhere in Africa who had never been taught that fire actually burned. Literally, they had no understanding or belief that fire burned. And this guy was just literally on his butt, just bouncing in the fire, just like super happy and excited. And like on the coals, his clothes weren't burning. He didn't burn at all. And it's very fascinating. Like, what is the belief system about fire that we've been taught? Oh, fire burns, hot, don't touch. But I literally saw this man. I mean, I really looked at it. Like, whenever I see these videos, I'm like, is this real? Can I see anything that looks like this is CGI? No, it did not look like CGI at all. In fact, it was a whole tribe of just it. Like, it just, it would have been very, 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 very difficult to fake. I know there's amazing things out there, but like literally that sense and that feeling of what you're getting, and you're just like, oh, whoa, wait, maybe fire actually doesn't burn. But I don't think that's necessarily what you're referring to. That sounds bath experience is awesome. Yeah, sound baths are awesome. I love you so big. So anyway, so there's all different ways to bathe yourself and cleanse that auric field, not just solely with water, but water is definitely very beneficial. I know that I enjoyed a cold shower after our long hike today, getting back to you guys, and I was grateful that I had enough time to do that, because I almost was going to just be trippy sweaty, which is fine, but like yeah, it feels much better to kind of just like wash that away and just kind of be here clean. So all of these are great grounding and rooting and cleansing that that auric field, so that we can really be present. I also like to find things that heighten my senses to keep my intuition very, very clear. So yeah, that's big things that I wanted to talk on today. And I would love to hear, like, if anyone, like, what you do when you first wake up in the morning. Do you have any kind of routine that you do that you find to be beneficial? And also, like, what you do in moments of the disease, where, like, let's say something comes in that you're perceiving as negative. Like, is there something that you do immediately with yourself, like whether it's breath work or grounding? I've talked about box breathing, which is really, really great to really just center. Again, the box breathing is just taking like the 4 breaths in, holding for 4 breaths, exhaling for 4 breaths, holding for 4 breaths. And that really can help pull me back to my center so that my intuition can be very clear. I can notice when I express any kinds of irritability, or sometimes I liken it to like the 7 deadly sins, that breath work is very, very helpful. And oftentimes when I'm in those spaces, or into the shadow, I should say, that my breath is just very, very high. It's very high. And I just need to get that down, breathing it all the way out through my toes. But yeah, that's super good too. Let me think, what else? Yeah, is getting yourself on track all the time. Yeah, and it's a discipline, and I want to do it, guys. And it's really wanting to do it in that moment and not lying to yourself about it. Sometimes if you're not playing the governor, then somebody else is running that show, and this is what I'm talking about, the entities that can come in and remain within the vessel of like that irritability, the negative emotions that are coming out. They are you. They're not something else. They are in and residing inside of you. So it's not an excuse. It is literally standing in that space and making the decision to say, no, we are not doing this. This is the perspective change. This is the shift, and making the decision. And most important is with your actions in the moment, being able to do it. This is how you transcend. There's been many things that I've had in my life that the cycling and the looping thoughts, like Willow was talking about, this is where it begins. And watching where your mind is at. Like, I think when I first woke up this morning, I recognized my dreams, and there was somebody that entered my dream space that I was like, oh man, why did I dream about that person? I should just go clean, you know? And it's like these self-avoidance. I think this is not a healthy thing to do by any means, because then there's ripple effects, and it affects people outside of you. And this is another aspect of it, is it doesn't just affect you, it affects the people you love the most. It's you should be loving yourself the most so you can love others, but like if there is people in your life and you are operating on this behavior, it literally affects their energetic space. There is a responsibility that one must take in order to really keep people in your life. If you want to have people there and you want to have yourself there, then making that decision to change that perspective, do the necessary work, keep the discipline is crucial. So, again, I keep saying again, like many times, again, but really not staying so serious. This is where I was saying, wake up with a smile. Try and find your laugh, because it's important to learn how to play. On my deathbed, I don't want to say, ooh, I figured all these things out, but boy, I wish I had more fun. Boy, I wish I knew how to laugh and joke. I definitely was going down that line for a while where I was just so serious about doing this work. But there's this balance and this center point, and this is the medicine of the hummingbird, to find that joy, not be on your deathbed. You know that you lived every moment and every day finding that happiness and that passion with what you're doing. It's because you want to. And I want to be doing this work. That's why I take this time to do this show, or to be involved in Zach and Aaron's show, and I'm trying to keep up with all the messages. Yesterday I got so many messages coming in, so I'll be talking to many of you very soon. But like, having that interaction, these are things that bring me joy in my life, and bouncing off other people. But I can also have fun with myself. Like, something that I like to do, is I like to skip. I learned a lot about like EMDR, and I don't know if you know about EMDR, but it's like eye movement. I can't remember all that it stands for, but like, it's a therapy that they do, and it causes you to have to work with your right and left brain at the same time. And they often do it with like lights. So you'll have this like strip, and there's lights that go back and forth, like boop, boop, boop. And you start talking when that's happening. I've had it where they had sound in the ears, where one sound. So it goes silent in one ear and then sound in the other, back and forth. Or even like holding these little things that vibrate, and it goes back and forth. And I found skipping does like that same thing, where it forces one to work both the right and left brain at the same time. So I'll go out on a trail and I'll just start skipping, and I'll find that I start to get the answers because I'm able to pull in that logical side of my brain. I know with my sign, I'm a double Cancer. So emotionally, I've been a very emotional person in my life. I was sharing with Aaron how I used to think that I had like the best sign in the world, and I was the most loving, and it was a Cancer and all this kind of stuff. And then I got together with Zach, who is this like super logical mind. And I found that the emotions were like untrained and out of control and all of these other aspects. And then I found that this, watery sign that I resided in, I was this double sign, that there was a lot more work to be done. But however, I mean, in inverse, once you understand your emotions, once you understand how to show up and take different actions and not be emotional, but have that balance of the logic and emotional, that it's a very good thing. And anyway, very interesting. Kala says, I do intention setting every single morning. If I wake with a poor thought, I make sure to close my eyes and try again. I repeat until I have a good thought first. Oh, interesting. Yeah. That is a good way to go. Yeah, that's a good way to go. I definitely say, I mean, if your thoughts are running and they're poor thoughts, and is trying to just silence it, get that to stop talking. And this is that discipline throughout the day and stopping the looping thoughts. So when you're in the process of like having those keep coming in, more meditation throughout the day. And it doesn't mean just like sit there and there's all different types of meditations. I love chakra dancing, where you just get up and you move your body in all different fun ways. I think at some point I'll try and get a setup and we can do like a chakra dance, where you just like center with yourself, see yourself in new ways with movement. There's a gazillion different types of meditations, but yeah, Kala, like when you have that poor thought and then continue to make that choice, it is a good way to go as well. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Fire baths. Yes, it's like bathing with all the other elements that have been mentioned, but with fire. Kind like a sweat lodge minus the lodge. Kind of like burning off the frayed ends that stuff gets. So you actually use fire? Like I mean, like, I guess if you move like a candle over your body, it doesn't burn, right? So is it kind of like if you were to take the fire and you just like move it over your body? I mean, that sounds really, really rad. I really like this. Could you extrapolate, add some more for me? It's a straight sauna outside here. Pool water is perfect, though. Oh, yeah. I think it's very humid where you are, too, isn't it? Um, yeah, it's very, very hot here, too. I mean, I definitely could do a burning bath just by being in the sun. That definitely is it. I like that concept of the fire, though, like what I was kind of imagining in my mind. I'm interested to hear more. This is rad. Caught in. Usually it's something I can feel, like I need to go meditate in front of a fire, unclothed, and sit or dance in the energy of the fire. Oh, yeah. Like, and sit or dance in the energy of the fire. Do you place yourself in the fire? Like I get that you're totally naked. That is very, very whole, and like sitting by the fire and having the heat of the fire and the smoke of the fire. I'm just wondering, does the fire actually touch your skin? I guess that is the question that I'm trying to find out. It's very restorative. Yeah, it sounds very restorative. I'm super stoked on this. Thank you. I haven't had poor thoughts in a long time, but though doing that training every morning, it changed my life. Oh, that's good, Kala. That's good. Yeah, it's literally keeping the discipline, because like you get these mechanics that start operating in your mind, and once you do the discipline, it's kind of like that 21 day creates that habit. When you make that decision, you can actually start circling that within your mind, as opposed to the looping thoughts. You can actually start having a discipline without having to put so much energy and focus to it. But it is a process of bringing awareness to self. With the Feldenkrais method, really, like, it's about these movements of just, well, even within your mind, lying there and sensing how you're feeling, what the thoughts are that are resonating within that vessel. And if there are, the negative is really that rooting and sloughing it off. Also doing the breath work is taking that and literally sloughing it off. It's learning how to let go. Because if those thoughts are residing within your mind, they're not going to stop just by choosing to think good thoughts. You already created them, and therefore they are created, and they will then be in operation. And when it's in your subconscious mind, you'll end up going outside and operating it into your external reality, or inside yourself into the negative. Like, you literally have to make the choice to stop that thought and be the governor of it. And this is a point too where you're also the observer. So when you're observing that negative thought, not feeding it. This is why I like Kala going, then I blink my eyes, or I can't speak to Kala because I'm not her. But if you have that negative thought that is coming in, you can observe it. Don't grow it. If you add any aspects of it, you're feeding it. So the more work you do on bringing in those positive thoughts and attracting the others, the more freely it can flow and be like, oh, look at that. There's that thought again, you know? And it's not being fed, but it's also honoring the fact that this is something that you created because it mattered to you at some point. You can't just push it away. You literally need to take the power back within you to stop it and make that choice again and again. If not, like, this is where you stuff your issues, they go into your tissues. So, yeah, that's kind of something that I get from that, is really, really minding those thoughts. You make a real bonfire and sit in this thermal cell. All right. Wow. I'm just imagining sitting there right now. I love it. I love bringing in all the different elements. Yeah, that is so rad. Thank you for reminding me about the fire. I think yeah, I love that. I also want to try what I was talking about too, is getting some fire and actually literally getting that with my skin. You know, like, you can actually take it, like when you sage yourself, for example, but like actually having that flame. I wonder how that would go. That sounds really interesting to me too. I love that, Jacob. Thank you so much for sharing. I think it's a really, really rad thing. It's hard to do a bonfire here in California. Fires aren't allowed. So I have a fake fire in our home here, but it's just not the same. It's not the same thermal, but I know you could tap your energy. Even like why I just like paused for a moment was just like placing myself within that space and imagining it. Because your brain, it literally doesn't know the difference between imagining and actually doing it. So even if you can't get to those elements, creating that space either within your mind's eye or like what I had mentioned to Jasmine, getting some plants within your shower so that it feels like more of a nature aspect of the shower. I know the running water and sitting by a creek, there's something very powerful with that, but there is also something very powerful within you. So trying to pull that out and not going, ooh, I don't have this. It's like going, oh, whoa, I can do this and see how that affects. Caliente out faux show. Nice. No, I don't sit in the fire, but very close. If you're not in the correct meditative state, you will get burned. Oh, so close enough that you could burn yourself. Ah, interesting. Yeah. And Jacob, that just kind of takes me back to like talking about like that indigenous tribe, or, you know, we mentioned this before where Wim Hof was talked about in the cold therapy. And then I shared a story about doing hot yoga for the first time. And we were looking at just like this one aspect, but there's also the heat. And so I think that's why I'm really fascinated by what you're saying. And you're right. Like it is a psychological thing. Like when you put yourself in that state, like you won't get burned. Yeah, very fascinating. I love this. It burns off all the frayed ends on your energetic body, not your physical body, where stuff like unwanted attachments can get caught on and bond to you. They need burned off from time to time. I can totally see that. Like when Aaron was here, we were talking about how like a sunburn is actually not your skin burning. It's actually the parasites on your skin that are burning. So like what you're talking about right there is like almost like your own version of a sunburn, of getting all that the attachments and unwanted things that are bonded to you. That's really rad, Jacob. Very cool. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Wow. Thanks for reminding me also, Jacob. Working on adding a nice bonfire spot in the backyard to go with the pool. Has to be contained though. Yeah. See, bringing in the elements right now are very powerful tools to use. So cool. Yeah. I love all these different ideas of meditation. Like I had mentioned too, the wind baths. Wind loves to play with you. It loves it. So going out and playing in the wind, if wind is there, literally it will spiral around with you. Even on our hike today, it was like so hot. And so I was walking with my eyes closed. I was kind of more or less by myself at this moment. The three others were kind of on or around me, but like in my centered focus, I like to try and walk with my eyes closed to get a different sensory. And in this sensory, I was feeling the breeze, and the breeze was really cooling me down. I have no idea how hot it is here today, but it feels up over 100. And I got the wind, and I started having the gratitude with the wind. And I'll play with the wind with my hands, or even with my flute, the wind will come. But the wind can mess with my flute because it will blow in there and affect the sounds. But yeah, I was just playing with the wind, and I was like, oh, a gust of wind would feel really amazing now if that is something that can, you know, easily flow. And sure enough, the gusts of winds come. And so I was able to, you know, to have the nice breeze and then some gusts of wind. Nature loves to play with you if you play with it. And there's all these different aspects. I had been like talking about like the skipping in nature, you know, like just getting out there and balancing self and balancing that right and left allows you to be able to see what that next indicated step is on a very healthy dynamic. We were both that male and female version, and it's learning to balance just that. You guys have the raddest comments today. I am like blown away. I'm not surprised. You guys are just awesome. And this is why we come together as family, is to share this information. And that's what this whole healing channel is about, is to have that. I have like, this was like a side note, because there's even more like other healing aspects. Like yesterday, I had a man reach out to me that I had known a couple years ago, who is like an entertainer. He traveled around the country playing Sammy Davis Jr. and it was like with this show. And now that all the things are closed, he's not being like that much, like he's not able to go out and entertain. So he started his own podcast, but his theme with this podcast is very much central kind of to healing. And he's asked me to be on his podcast on June 6th, so I'll get you more information to that. But he sent this really funny video where he's like playing this kind of like, he's acting in it and he's singing in it and he's like playing this priest, and he's like, I'm gonna build me a mountain. And I don't know, I don't really sing very much yet, but it was just like so exciting, and just like building, like he's building it, but he was like singing like he was a preacher, but it was all about like healing of self kind of thing. And then in the background there was like 3 versions of himself like panned into there, and they were like these females with like different wigs on and big fake boobs, but like, dude, it was hilarious. So I'm really excited to like see that the people that I'm also entangled with that are doing this level of creation at like that same time. So I mean, there's just all these different areas that really bring us our answers, so we can have that next indicated step, so we can heal away all of the trauma and the pain that our bodies have. Animal medicine is huge. I know yesterday we talked about like wanting to do meditation with the crow, and of course I saw many crows today, and I wanted to talk like to the magic of crows and the brilliance of their mind. I mean, crows like have something like 40 different voices that they can make. And they're also like the trickster. There's so many different aspects to the medicine. And I think that it would be a really wonderful medicine to utilize today. So I wanted to like read about that with you, do like a meditation with you on that. And then if there's any other topics or questions that you guys have, I would be so happy to go over it. I think my biggest topic that I wanted to bring to you is like the importance of what we're doing when we first wake up in the morning to create our day, mentioning again the importance of what we're doing before we go to bed at night. If we, like I said, leave that clutter around and we're bothered by the clutter, that energy will be stopped up. And it's important to not do that to ourselves. It's interesting because for so long it was like I would so easily help everybody else but myself. And today I really want to help myself so that I can fully help you and help anybody else that comes into my reality the healthiest way possible. And again, it's about liberation. For me, it's about helping liberate people from the bondage of self and find the most happy, joyous times. I mean, at some point, we're all going to die. I know on my deathbed, I want to be happy. I had this opportunity to work with this one woman. Her name was Adelaide. She was 100 years old at the point she died. Hold on. And I super admired Adelaide. She was so, so awesome. She had journaled every day of her life. She had like these books upon books, and they weren't like crazy details. It was mostly like, oh, we drove to town today. You know, it wasn't exciting, but there was like this honor that she gave to her life. And it was like the family wanted to read her stories to her like it was important, and it hadn't been important. She had accomplished the things that she had wanted to. She had had the love. She had had the family that she wanted. And I knew if Adelaide was going to live past her 100th birthday, that there needed to be more for her to want to live for. I think 100 is like the centennial year that that not many people are living past 100. More people now, like since the 90s, that's gone up drastically, and more people are living to like 120, and who knows in 20 years from now how much longer we'll actually be living. But we have to find these reasons that we want to live past these certain times. And so taking care of ourselves and our vessels and making sure that we're staying as healthy as possible, we can Benjamin Button ourselves. Age isn't real. And yet at the same time, I knew, and I felt it, like all the things were coming, like bees were coming, which I have a special affiliation with bees. The work had come, and the Corandero came and was playing and singing to her, helping that journey for the transition, for her transition. And this is like all the signs. And yeah, at the same time, it was like, Adelaide, is there anything more you would like to do here? I was so admired by her, and pretty much it was, this food is good, this aspect is good, but she was just ready to go. She didn't want to go skydiving and recreate it. She actually had done this thing, and it was probably the most beautiful experience I ever had with any one client. It was hard for her daughter, who I had also been working with, because it's your mom and you have the attachments and a bunch of other aspects, but Adelaide was ready. She was so fine with going. It was like the perfect end was at 100, and it's like what I want. Like when I get to my deathbed, I don't want it to be riddled in fear or this shadow or stuff that I should have done, or I should have had more fun because I was too serious about doing this work. And so I think that's what we're creating together and coming. So it's not so difficult, but we got to hold the discipline. And anyway, Adelaide was awesome. Thanks for listening to that story. She definitely is one woman that I am very, very grateful that I got to work with. But yeah, I took her to go watch the parasailers jumping off the cliff, and just to like sit in the now enjoyment, knowing, like anything that would have that drive. And it wasn't. She was just ready to go, and she had done what she had wanted to accomplish in this version of herself in this life. And that was really rad to see, and that definitely keeps me motivated. I've definitely worked with a lot of people that did not die that way, that they were in a lot of self-avoidance, and every day we get an opportunity, like when we go to bed, which is pretty much like we die, and then we're reborn every morning. So we really are getting that opportunity every single day. Jasmine, you said, I feel that I've been setting more boundaries when I feel I'm too depleted and I need to just save my energy, and I won't even answer the phone or return calls until I'm ready to be available. That's awesome, Jasmine. Exactly. I love that. It's like we talked about, like the boundaries, and it's important. It really is, because how important is that conversation if you can't show up as your best version of yourself? You want to be able to be there for that other person, but you need to want to be there for yourself first, and so that you can. If not, you're going to have those looping thoughts, or you're going to have these distractions or other things that are going to keep you from that. And so I'm just so happy to hear about those boundaries that you are setting. And boundaries is a weird word, but I get the boundaries aspect. When I say it, it feels like boxed in, but it's not so much. It really is just setting your space and asking for what you need, and recognizing that within yourself. You don't need to ask the other person. I mean, you can tell them, this is the way it is, but knowing that for you is very, very crucial. Sounds harsh, but sometimes we need to. No, I don't think it sounds harsh. I think that society has set a difference to that. Like, you must be of service, and this is the way that you do it. But if you can't be of service to yourself, you can't be of service to anybody. And especially in that caretaking aspect, like, you will hit a point where you just can't do that anymore. It will compound and get louder and louder and louder until you heal that within. So just taking that moment to say, no, stop. And I do believe that it's okay to step away, that there is time. But if you're not going to be able to show up as that best version, instead of reinforcing that, or even like it's if you're reinforcing the version that you don't want to be. And what's the point in that? There isn't. So unless you want to continue to hurt yourself. And it's not about hurting yourself, it's about loving yourself. And not being in that dualistic reality. And if the people don't get it, then perhaps that's a lesson that's just your role for them. Sorry, but you're not there to hurt them. Your intention literally is inverse to that. So it doesn't sound harsh to me at all. I watched Zach do it. Like I didn't know those tools, and I would always be so surprised, like, whoa, like almost like taken aback until I started to recognize that no, it's actually the person that would be taken aback or affronted by you not helping them. And I understand when you have children, there's like this different like balance to it. And we can go down that road when you have children is knowing that in that moment, making that decision to be the best, like, instead of enslaving yourself to that, like, oh, here's my boundary, I can't do this right now. But like, if you know that your truest want for yourself is to be the best mother, and what that looks like, if that is this balance with yourself, because sometimes your kid really does need something, right? But you've made that decision. So if you can change the perspective where, nope, this is my balancing, this is my moment, because I have chosen that I wanted to be a mother more, and this is part of that journey. And then you become kinder and softer to self. And when you become kinder, more loving and softer to self, you'll find that that rooting and balancing, or even bringing your children into the play of it, teaching them how to do that. And also setting your boundaries for your kids. No, you're going to go and do this here while I go and do this. And sometimes if you haven't done that before, it will be really, really tough. Like for a couple, like, well, not tough. It doesn't have to be tough. Again, it's all a perspective. But the kid might not understand, or the person might not understand. So things might get a lot louder. But as long as you keep going, nope, I'm doing this for the highest version, slough off that negative energy, you go do that over there. It teaches them the skills. It's like the caretaking oftentimes robs people of the lesson. And it's not robbing them of the lesson. Like you want them to be the best version, and that's why you chose that role, as you want to be the best version for yourself. So again, it's navigating that plane, and taking those pauses. And when you learn to constantly work on the protections, constantly keeping yourself grounded and rooted, that the navigation of the plane becomes much clearer and much easier, because it doesn't have to be so hard. It can just get really loud, and balancing might seem a bit more teetery, but you have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. So that's just the reality. Jasmine says, I actually took care of a woman who only had a fractured foot, and her family asked me to care for her for a while, and I was only with her 2 weeks. I knew her from my church days. I feel like we might have talked about that woman, you and I appreciate that you share this story. Oh, she stopped eating and drinking water, but kept asking for Tylenol for her pain, so eventually that led to putting her in the hospital again. It is interesting, like when you show up as a caretaker, people are more than happy to step out of the way. It's just a reality. I definitely taken care of people that were not my job or responsibility to do it. But I took it, and there was stuff that I was fulfilling for myself and why I chose to do it. It's never the other person. It's always you. That is interesting. Was she on, like, she just fractured her foot? She wasn't, like, on her last days? It just was, like, she just wanted you to help her? Eating, the same day she died, they took her off life support for her heart. Sorry, let me pull this up. That same day she died, they took her off life support. Her heart had stopped for 5 minutes prior, and I watched her literally take her last breath. But she just wanted to die. Yeah. And that's also it, it's like taking care of like an animal that wants to die. Like they'll stop eating and drinking. They'll know when the end stages are. And same with us, like that is the last things to go. I'm like the woman that just fractured her foot. Is this a separate story from the woman that ended up dying? That's where I'm kind of like confused on this, because in this part, it seemed as if she had only like fractured her foot, and then next thing you know, like boom, 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 she was dying. So I just want to like get clarification, so I'm not like talking based off of assumptions. But it's allowing people to do that, and And it is interesting to work with the families that do have somebody dying, because they have their own agendas, their own attachments, their own aspects that, of course, they don't want the person to go. But none of us are getting out of here alive. None of us. So allowing them that beautiful space in order to transition, or very scary space for many people. In her sleep, she'd be calling her late husband like the whole night, just calling his name. It was a really interesting experience. Yep. Again, the veil gets really thin. There's a lot of things that you see when you're like, I think that we have the ability to actually see this, and this is part of the awakening. But when you're dying, the veil gets very thin. You start seeing things that aren't really there, but are there. And so the family will get more freaked out, because they'll go, oh, she was seeing bees, but there was no bee. And you're like, well, the bee was coming to, tell her that there was work, more work to be done. Like, so many messages, like with the bee. Like, I'm trying to like simplify it, but there was a lot with that, or the sparkles that happen, or paintings moving, or like, there's just a lot of weird things that happen. It's like the body is, I believe, releasing some dimethyltryptamine. And this is why, like, DMT is a great medicine to use on the end of life stages, because it teaches one to be able to navigate that plane in that psychedelic space. It makes it a much easier transition. It just isn't readily accepted in our society. But if you go down into South America, it is a medicine that is being used. So the DMT we release when we're born and when we die, and I believe we release it a lot more, like in meditative spaces. But we're just now waking up, and we're just now starting to see those things. So this information isn't as readily as available. But yeah, Jasmine, I imagine that was a really strange experience, and it might have been really hard. But at the same time, it's a really a valuable one. Not everybody gets that opportunity to get to see that, so that you can see, like, when you get there, She was alert and independent before that. She lived alone. She was 88. Yeah, you got to have reasons to live past this point, more than just like the family. And there's a lot of aspects when it comes to death. And it sounds like, if this is the case, you have more information. She didn't have any mental or physical issues. She had a white Alaskan Husky. Aw, yeah. I'm glad she had a dog. The dog knew. I don't know where that dog is now, but I'm grateful that she had kind of that support. A lot of times it doesn't appear like they have any mental or physical issues, but when you're ready to go, you're ready to go. And you got to have reasons to live. If you don't have a reason to live, you're not going to really be able to stay here. The fractured foot was the only issue she had, but it was like she just gave up on living after that. Yeah. I mean, 88, in that, I had an opportunity, like when I lived in Sedona, to work in a care facility that had a lot, like everyone was there because they were old and they were on their way out, and they're like, well, I'm here to die here, and yet, like, one person fell and hurt their hip, and I'm like, oh, let's fix that. And they're like, oh, no, this is just the way it is now. Like this, like, acceptance, like as if the pain is just like, they're supposed to have had that. There's this, like, there is, it's not everyone, but a vast majority are just, I have these words, like a different yogic, like a different, it was different for them. They didn't get this information. They didn't know this stuff. So they are surrounded by people that think that this is just the way it is. They hurt their foot, and to rehabilitate that and the work that it's going to take in order to do it, that they just don't have the energy, want, know-how, will in order to do it. They weren't trained or taught those skills. And oftentimes the family's now feeling put out, and there's just like a bunch of stuff. Each case is very unique. But I definitely could speak to many, many, many cases of much older clients. It is harder to work with them. They're not seeing it the same way we are, because they had a whole lifetime without this information. There are quite a few awakened older people that do exist out there, but they're not as common, is what I found in my experience. He has fantastic material covering these topics, I missed something. Kevin. Oh, Seven Bomar. Wait, here we go. It's popping. Here we go. That's some Seven Bomar right there. Are you referring to what I was discussing? I love Seven Bomar. I highly recommend listening to Seven Bomar. He has fantastic material covering these topics, calling and seeing the ancestors, etc. Yeah, I think very much like Seven Bomar. I think he's a fantastic dude, and I'm so grateful for the work that he's done and what he shares. Even like what I was talking about when you wake up in the morning, like even Seven Bomar talks about this, like with one part of like his awakening where he was lying in bed and he could hear the neighbor, because clairvoyance and that kind of like hearing people becomes much clearer when this awakening process happens, and he could hear the neighbor's negative thought, but he could also hear it passing down the neighborhood, right? Because it's contagious, and this is why I'm saying protect yourself. So anyone that has time, well, we all have time if you make it. Time's not real. Highly recommend doing the research deeper into Seven Bomar as well. I hope that he ends up coming on one of our shows and we can have him here, because I love Seven Bomar. I think that's what I want to speak to my reality. Seven Bomar coming on my show. Or Zach and Aaron's show, like all of our shows. Oh my gosh, that would be like ultimate dream. I'd probably fan out a little bit, but I'd not, no, we're all one and unified. But seriously, like he really speaks to a lot of the aspects that I see. I also think I kind of live with the Seven Bomar very much with Zach and how his mind works, and I'm grateful for that. What? Frank is in here? Now sending, but what? Hi, Frank. Welcome. Oh my gosh. That's so cool. What? Oh, okay. Oh, man. That is rad. Hello and welcome. Huh. Okay. Exciting. That's Era Consciousness. Yeah. Oh my gosh. How cool. Her family was actually not surprised at all. They gave away all her things right away, but they were older, so they needed to let go of the things fast. Yeah, death is just such an interesting plane to navigate, and it's all new. But someone else took him that was closer to her. Okay, so the dog. I think you're talking. Oh, wait, I missed this one. Oh, my gosh, you guys are writing so many comments so fast. So many people from the church were fighting over her thing. She had a lot of expensive stuff. All I wanted was a picture frame of a cheetah that she made, like a hand-sewn picture. I wanted the dog. Yeah. It's interesting, but someone else took him that was closer. It is like interesting. Like I'd worked with certain people. Yeah, I get that. Again, it's just things like people get really sick around them. I learned that when I decided to sell everything that I own, like even things that I thought I would never get rid of my entire life. I purged it. And, the fact that I realized is that at any moment, like you even describing that cheetah frame, I don't know if you ended up receiving it. You can close your eyes at any moment and see it. It's still there, but you don't have to carry it around with you if you move or you do all these other things. It might be nice to have in your home. And there's things that I did keep, and I get that. And I'm not trying to play that down. It's just there's certain things that I thought that maybe I wanted, like my grandmother. Like I inherited a couple things from like this Rosie doll from my grandmother that I just couldn't travel with. I might end up having her back in my life someday, but like the truth is there's a reason for everything, and people get real weird around things and very sick. And it motivates me to not do that and not want to be that person. Attachments weigh us down. They can't go with us to the other place, but you had the beautiful opportunity to share with her what no one else was actually getting to see. And changing the perspective and the value of that. The dog, he knew where he was supposed, like what was going to happen. Like I believe that that's how it goes. Their spirits can still come and visit us even if they're in another spot. I know my dog that was kidnapped definitely came to me as a bird and some other aspects. And even if it's not in that form, they still care and love and are part of that. So that's really rad. Man, so cool. it's that journey. And I think we definitely talked about Jasmine with that experience, is looking at where the caretaker aspect had shown up and how to actually show up healthily for somebody and not doing that caretaker aspect and being able to step back. But people, they get weird. They get weird about, being done and rid of things and people because it's easier, or however, whatever their decisions are. And it's all unique, but it's really like back to taking care of you. I know the last woman that I took care of, I didn't realize she had any, like, a caretaker, really. She was like, I don't have any children that come and visit. And I finally was able to find her daughter, and her daughter absolutely came. They just didn't talk, They just, how they always were. They just didn't talk. And so she was absolutely happy and fine to come. And she came and visited. And I realized in that space that this was not my role. And all the stuff that I was doing. And it was like, in that time, I had to make the decision for many reasons that I needed to take care of me and that I couldn't help her anymore. But I got all the pieces in place so that I felt good about it and she wasn't like abandoned. But it was necessary. So it's navigating those planes. I show up very differently on how I care for people. I can see that sometimes why I share about caretaking is because that still kind of resides in different habits that I would have, and changing those habits is a very big deal. It's like, I know I can't help you today, and that's okay. And whether they think you're an asshole is none of your business after that point. It just isn't. It's on them, and maybe you need them to learn that maybe sometimes you can be an asshole. I don't know. Not a big deal. Like, you are a wonderful person who needs to love and take care of themselves, so you can't show up for anybody. If your cup is empty, you can't take care of anybody. and you lose so much of yourself, and then you start attracting more and more of that. And I realized, I'm like, I can't do this extreme taking care of people anymore. I need to go do it different. And this is the reshaping and remolding and all of that. It's a skin suit technology. Yeah, Frank. Oh, man. It's cool to have you in here. Oh, you got that already? Yes, ma'am. There you go. Skin suit tech. Good luck, son. Oh, cool. Oh, Frank. Hi, Frank. Everyone saying hi. Yes. Don't be sorry, Jasmine. Like, seriously. Wait, it changed that comment. Where did it go? Oh, right there. Jasmine, that's what this show is about. It's called Healing Space with Gently Healing. Like, it's our healing space. All of us share the similar stories. I say, I'm a caretaker. I'm not enacting that behavior anymore. I'm stopping it. I've stopped it. These are the steps that I've taken. This is what I've learned how to do. And so sharing those stories is exactly what I want in this space. So please don't say sorry. That's not how I see it. I was answering Jen, Frank, not calling you ma'am, brother, my brother. I think you might have been calling him ma'am. Just kidding. Just joking. Love you. Love you. Just saying. You guys are so awesome. I'm so glad you guys introduced me to Seven. I love him now. I know. Jasmine, wasn't it awesome? Like, even when, like, your body was, like, kind of shutting down when you first heard Seven, and then we kind of talked through that, and then you were like, no, I really want to hear what this man has to say. You take that power back and that decision, and then you're not sleepy time anymore, and you're able to, like, literally hear his message, which is just awesome. I do have it still. It's at my grandma's house. Oh, you did get, I believe you're talking about the frame. So cool. That's cool. And it is kind of funny if that is a frame, because it's at your grandma's house and not with you, which, like, the stuff I've inherited at my grandma's house, or at my mom's house, from my grandmother. But, it still exists. I can close my eyes. I picture Rosie perfectly within my mind. It's a beautiful picture. See? Cool. That's what you wanted. And that dog was supposed to go and do something elsewhere. And you just have such a big heart with dogs. Like, even with that show we had with Kala is so rad. I feel that too about the dog. He went where he was needed. The woman that received went through a rough divorce after that. Yeah. See, that's healing right there. It's like you set aside. You're not like setting. I was gonna say set aside your own feelings, but you're not. You're literally allowing yourself to see the space for what it is. And the next indicated step for that dog really was that, and that's where you begin to find that peace with self. Yeah. Knee-jerk reactions. Not sure what you're referring to. But anyway, I am so grateful for all of these comments, and I think that it's really important that we share these stories. I think a lot of us have, elderly parents, grandparents, friends, or not even elderly, people that might have expressed cancers or hurts. But the biggest thing that I have learned in the caretaking space is if they're not willing to do the work for themselves, there's very little things you can do for them. They need to be doing the work. And if you want to be showing up, let's say you're somebody that you care about is really in an ailment and needs help, it's taking on that parent role. You need to change that perspective of why you're actually doing it. I want to be doing this more, and I'm okay with that, and I'm good with that. If not, it will consume you and take you down a whole other rabbit hole of self, losing self, slaving yourself to that process, and you are not a slave unless you choose to be a slave, and you're not a slave. It's your choice. And love can be shown very different ways. Sometimes I've had to love people right out of my life. I can love you over here, or while I'm over here and you're over there, and I'll do all of the energy work. Guess what? We're entangled. You got my bandwidth anytime you need it, but I'm going to be over here. It's just not in my vibration. It's not in that space. And it can be hard to say that. Zach really started me out on kind of Jen, sometimes you just need to tell me to shut the fuck up. And I was like, oh my God, I never said that, I would never say anything like that. Oh, maybe one time when I was drunk here or there, but I don't drink, and that was a long time ago. So it was to have somebody tell me to tell them to shut the fuck up sounded crazy, but I was untrained and unskilled with even that voice because I was such a caretaker. I didn't want to hurt anybody else, but sometimes you need to tell somebody just to shut the fuck up and be able to do that and stand in your truth. And so it took me a long journey because once I let that muzzle off in that gauntlet, I didn't know how to unflow those waters. I literally had to navigate a whole new plane, and I am so grateful for Zach on so many aspects, teaching me about the logic and the emotions and the balancing acts and all of that, because you got to speak your truth. If you stuff your issues, they go into your tissues, and you never know when they're going to just flow out. And learning about yourself on that daily basis, waking up first thing in the morning, centering with your new day, your new experience, your new life is crucial. Before you go to bed at night, the same thing. You are the creator of your reality. And those that are in your life, they can change too. I'll imagine them doing wonderful, great things, and how I like to see them and how I like them to act. And I really think about my perfect day as that perspective. And I shit you not, so often those people that I thought would be more this way literally end up enacting the way I was speaking. They're unaware. They still get that information. And so it's very powerful stuff. Seven and Frank both are fantastic for knee-jerk reactions. Just having a totally different viewpoint that might make you confused to angry to blank. Enter feeling here. I love it. That's me. Dude, I get that. Sometimes you're not always going to be the nice guy. That's just not how it works. Yeah, I definitely can see because he's I think it's the Bronx you're from, Frank, and that New York kind of side of you. Someone once told me I'd just be eaten alive if I went to New York, but that was years ago. I'm very different now because now I can speak to certain aspects of it. Yeah, you definitely have that sass that I think Paula has that too, which is just, it's very admirable. And I definitely have worked on learning how to do that and not do it in a cruel way, but be able to do it in a way that sometimes the healer has to heal them by them not liking me, and that's okay. And they need to face themselves, because none of my intentions is negative. None of my intentions is to hurt the other person. My intentions is to shine lights. And sometimes those shadows just look a whole lot darker than anything that I did. It was their shadows, not mine. And but if I don't act or say these certain things or set my boundaries or have that, and my shadows are pretty bleak, and it's an important journey to be coherent with myself, with love, with those that I want to have in my life. So yeah, that's rad. have grown leaps and bounds since being introduced to both of them. I imagine. I've been watching Frank a bit and known of Frank since the Geos were in Egypt. That's when that's when I started that journey of kind of seeing the Fearless family and how that operated, and that was like so fun to watch and experience. And then Seven Bomar came to me a while ago, and I was grateful for like the information that he was bringing in, and then having Zach with me on that too is like, oh, I just got downloaded with a bunch of information and a great platform to learn from. Jen is so sweet and spicy now. I'm sweet and spicy. I can be sweet and spicy. That's true. I'd rather let's kind of just show up with care and love, you know, like and have that space. And I think if we're creating more and more ecosystems of love, it won't have to be so spicy. When we meet ourselves and balance and transcend our shadows and actually do the work, it's not going to be so spicy. But, you know, spicing up life, you know, is part of the journey. We'll probably have shadow work to do till the day we die. But so, you know, perhaps sweet and spicy for the rest of this life. But the goal is to make the heart weigh as light as a feather. So, yeah, learn that self-love. It is like 6:25 right now. And holy cow. What an episode. What I really want to do, because we talked about it, because I like to bring in meditation with all of our energetic spaces, is that we talked about the crow. And I think that setting forth the magic and the power that crow does have with all of this information would be a great source to tap into. Let me pull up the crow so we can read about it, and then what we'll do is we'll wrap up so I can get some food in me and get ready for the next show. 133 Crow Medicine is on, and again, I love this book. Tutu, here it is. Yay, storytelling time. So it says, Crow, are you cawing so I may know the secrets of balance within my soul? Or are you sending your sacred caw just to remind me of universal laws? Oh, yeah, that is so good. Oh, you guys, I just took a moment to read your comments. So the crow is law, and I think this is a really, really good message. The crow is void, man. The black... and navigating your void space. There is a medicine story that tells of Crow's fascination with her own shadow. Gosh. She kept looking at it, scratching it, pecking at it, until her shadow woke up and became alive. Then Crow's shadow ate her. Crow is dead Crow now. Dead Crow is the left-handed guardian. If you look deeply into Crow's eyes, you will have found the gateway to the supernatural. Crow knows the unknowable mysteries of creation and is the keeper of all sacred law. Since Crow is the keeper of sacred law, Crow can bend the laws of the physical universe and shapeshift. This ability is rare and unique. Few adepts exist in today's world, and fewer still have mastered Crow's art of shapeshifting. This art includes doubling or being in two places at one time consciously. That makes sense. Taking on another physical form and becoming the fly on the wall to observe what is happening far away. The Europeans that came to Turtle Island were named the Boat People by Slow Turtle. Even when the knowledge of alchemy possessed by certain boat people, none had ever seen the powerful shape-shifting of shamans who utilized crow medicine. Many boat people were frightened by what appeared to be animals coming into their camps or dwellings to discern their medicine. Crow medicine people are masters of illusion. All sacred texts are under the protection of Crow. Creator's Book of Laws or Book of Seals is bound in Crow's feathers. Crow feathers tell of spirit made flesh. Crow is also the protector of the Ogala or ancient records. The sacred law belts, or wampum belts, beaded by native women long before the boat people or Europeans came to this continent, contain knowledge of the Great Spirit's law and are oh, this is long, are kept in the black lodges and lodges of women. The law which states that all things are born of women is signified by crow. Children are taught to behave according to the rules of a particular culture. Most orthodox religious systems create a mandate concerning acceptable behavior within the context of worldly affairs. Do this and so you and you will go to heaven. Do thus and so and you will go to hell. Different formulas for salvation are demanded by each true faith. Human's law is not the same as sacred law, more so than any other medicine. Crow sees that the physical world and even the spiritual world, as humanity interprets them, are an illusion. There are billions of worlds. There are an infinitude of creatures. Great Spirit is within all. If an individual obeys Crow's perfect laws as given by the Creator, then at death he or she dies a good medicine death, going on to the next incarnation with a clear memory of his or her past. That would be dope. Crow is an omen of change. Crow lives in the void and has no sense of time. The ancient chiefs tell us that Crow sees simultaneously the three fates, past, present, and future. Crow merges light and darkness, seeing both inner and outer reality. If Crow medicine appears in your card spread, you must pause and reflect on how you see the laws of the Great Spirit in relation to the laws of humanity. Crow medicine signifies a first-hand knowledge of a higher order of right and wrong than that indicated by the laws created in human culture. With Crow medicine, you speak in a powerful voice when addressing issues that for you seem out of harmony, out of balance, out of whack, or unjust. Remember that Crow looks at the world with first one eye and then the other cross-eyed. In the Mayan culture, cross-eyed had the privilege and duty of looking into the future. You must put aside your fear of being a voice in the wilderness and call the shots as you see them. It says call the shots. Like that. As you learn to allow your personal integrity to be your guide, your sense of feeling alone will vanish. Your personal will can then emerge so that you will stand in your truth. The prime path of true Crow people says to be mindful of your opinions and actions. Be willing to walk your talk, speak your truth, know your life's mission, and balance past, present, and future in the now. Shape-shift that old reality and become your future self. Allow the bending of physical laws to aid in creating the shape-shifted world of peace. That is pretty awesome. The contrary to it says, so you are an outlawed at AA. This is one of the varied messages of Crow's reverse. The rebel in you has given a yell and all hell is about to break loose. A world to the wise to this point, make sure that if you are stepping on toes, you have some backup. The catalyst for a barroom brawl is usually the person with two black eyes. That is what it means to eat crow. If you do not plan to go to such extremes, Crow reversed may indicate that you are merely cheating a little on your diet or covertly watching the neighbors have a spat or thinking promises are made to be broken. In any of these situations, the only loser is you. If you are lying to yourself on any level, you have lost the power of Crow. Think about it, and maybe your inner truth will come to you. In seeing what is true, you may need to weed out past beliefs or ideas or bring yourself into the present moment. Contrary Crow speaks of needing to remember that divine law is not judgment or denial of self-truths. Divine law is honoring harmony that comes from a peaceful mind, an open heart, a true tongue, a light step, a forgiving nature, and a love of all living creatures. Honor the past as your teacher, honor the present as your creation, and honor the future as your inspiration. Refusing to honor the shifts in your reality can cause emotional pain. An implosion of energy is apparent when rebellion surfaces. Contrary Crow speaks to a broken law. The law of expansion is broken by suppression. This may apply to a situation, an old habit, a person you have given your authority to, or your own fears. It is always your own creation. So call on Crow and shift that creation to your new reality. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. I love that. Because, like, yesterday, just what we were talking about, and many of you were like, oh, let's, not many, two of you mentioned about the crow medicine. And of course, today, there was a lot of crow in my life. And then even like the topics that we talked about today very much resonated inside of that, which is really, really cool. So let me just see like these comments really quick, and then let's do a quick meditation on the crow. Saying no was very hard lesson. Yeah, seriously, Frank, hard lesson. This is why I try and tell people, start lightening that word. Start joking with it. Like, somebody asks you to go to the store and you can drive them to the store, joke and be like, or like, can you take me to the store, let's say? And you'll be like, no, I can't take you to the store, but I'll drive you to the store. Or something that is funny and playful, so that the word becomes less heavy and dense and negative. Because it's not a negative word, but it's a very powerful word and a very important word for all of us to learn. But we weren't really taught that. And so I totally agree, Frank. Thanks for sharing that about yourself. That is awesome. I don't like you. I love you. Oh, yeah. I don't like you. I love you. I don't know. I get that both ways. I like you, but I love you. I don't know. I like to like people, and I like to love them too, but I don't like that. Oh, I don't like that. I don't know. That one's a little weird for me right now. I don't like you. It's like that beginning. It felt negative, but I get what you're saying in that message. But I totally get what you're saying. It's a much deeper connection. It's like the thing I was mulling over with the word care. It's like if I care about you, that leaves a lot of like misunderstanding in that space. But when I love you, it's just this free flowing. So I think it's a kind of a similar thing. So yeah, that's rad. I love that you guys just share all of this. Love you all. I love you too, Willow. Yes, I love you, Willow and Jasmine. I saw lots of crows today. Of course you did, Jasmine, because we're going to do crow meditation, and the birds are coming to you. They're always hanging out in my yard. Well, now we just read that, and you can know why. You're a magical creature, and I'm so grateful, teaching you how to navigate that past, present, future. Your book looks bigger than mine. I wonder if it is the same size. I don't know. I don't necessarily have a big head. I'm 5'6", so I don't know how tall you are. That was how I was going to show you how big it was. So now you can see how big your book was. Pulled crow a few days ago, too. It really wants its message to come through. Yeah, and then Sammy was saying, I think, too, yesterday she saw a crow. So, again, I like the animal meditation when we're just like kind of connecting, that we really create that crystalline light from our crown chakra, sending it in to the spirit and the heart of the crow. And when I create that crystalline light, I create it into the helix of my DNA and start just plugging that in. And then with the breath work, again, it's breathing it in through your nose, just nose breathing, and down into your solar plexus, deep into your solar plexus. So that breath coming down from the crown, snaking it straight into the solar plexus, deep down, circling that crystalline light inside, exploding it, and then any of that dense negative energy that could block the messages, just sloughing it and exhaling it out through your toes and your feet. And when you're exhaling that, it's a wiring system, a red wiring system, rooting you straight into the earth. So you have the crow of the crystalline light coming up and through your nose, circling it down deep into the solar plexus, and then sloughing off the negative energy down into your red wiring system of the rooting of that into the earth. And then just with the message of what we heard with the crow, and interpolating any of the DNA, any of the information that it has that it wants to share in our lives, Again, the cute little poem was, Crow, are you cawing so I may know the secrets of balance within my soul? Or are you sending your sacred caw just to remind me of universal laws? So, with the power of that words, I would like to do some sound healing and meditation. So sit, work on your breath. Slowly come back to yourself. Take some easy, natural breaths. Perhaps now you take some breaths through your mouth or through your nose and mouth. Just let the breath go and come naturally back to you, opening your eyes, sensing what you experienced, what messages the crow had to share with you. Did you fly with the crow? Did you see the crow? Did you experience what it was like to have wings? How does your body feel now? How do your hands feel? Is there a difference between your right hand to your left hand? Are you open to both receiving and giving? Balancing for both past, present, and future? Let's go down and check out how your legs feel. When we're talking about your right leg, explore your right leg all the way down into your foot. This is the foot and the leg that you use to step forward to your future. How does that feel? Go into your left leg now. Compare that side. The left leg is what brings you to your past. How does that feel? How do your feet feel touching the ground? Do they feel even? Is one side heavier than the other? Lighter? What is that experience like for you? Come back to your center now, to your heart. Take your right hand and place it on top of your heart, and then your left hand on top. Take a deep breath in through your nose, straight into that heart. I love you. I am so grateful that you're here. You are so worth it. Every one of you is so rad and such a blessing to have on this earth and in this space and in this realm, in all dimensions, in all places. You are loved and protected. Tell yourself that you love yourself and that you're on that journey to figuring out what exactly that all means. The goal is to make this place as light as a feather. No more shadow, no more light. Just is. Just is. I am honored every day for every one of you coming in here and listening to me and sharing this beautiful, radical space that we are creating all together, all here, out, all now, as we unify into the one. Take time with yourself today. Be kind to yourself today. You have been through enough. It's time to bring in the joy. Now take your hands and wrap them around your body into a hug. And I'm there. I'm on the other side giving you the most biggest bear hug on the planet. And the crow too is wrapping its wings around you and sharing its wings with you. It loves you and it's here to help spread its magic and its knowledge and its know-how so that we know how to navigate these planes. So stay aware, you guys. Work on you because you are, again, so worth it. I want to thank you all for being here, and I appreciate you, love you. I hope to see you in the show, the Zach and Aaron show, Expanded Understanding, here in a bit. I appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you again in here tomorrow with your beautiful, bright, shining faces. And yeah, reach out if you need it. Again, right here in that heart space. Close your eyes if you ever need my energy. I have an abundance. It's free flowing through me to all of you guys. Just imagine it, and I will be there. I will look forward to seeing you again soon. Frank, thanks for joining us tonight, and everyone else. I would list all of you, but Frank, it's your first time, so thank you. That I know of. Thank you. And So much love to you all, and I'll see you very soon.